Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Gaurav Sharma with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviews implementation of PM Swanidhi scheme, expresses satisfaction on use of end-to-end IT solutions to ensure transparency, accountability and speed. Prime Minister Modi to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio tomorrow. Centre allocates additional 40,000 crore rupees in Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme in view of COVID-19 pandemic. India achieves remarkable feat of conducting more than 4 lakh COVID-19 tests in a single day. Fatality rate dips to 2.35%. Flood situation improves slightly in Assam. Relief and rescue operations continue in flood-hit areas. And Reserve Bank of India extends $400 million currency swap facility with Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today reviewed the implementation of Pradhan Mantri Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi PM Swanidhi scheme of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. During the meeting, it was informed that over 2.6 lakh applications have been received, over 64,000 have been sanctioned, and over 5,500 have been disbursed. The Prime Minister expressed satisfaction on the use of end-to-end IT solutions through a web portal and mobile app for administration of the scheme to ensure transparency, accountability and speed. While noting that the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs is working on a complete IT solution, including mobile application, for seamless implementation of the scheme, Mr. Modi said the scheme design should incentivize use of end-to-end digital transactions by the street vendors. It should cover the entire gamut of their business, from procurement of raw material to collection of sale proceeds, and appropriate incentives and training should be conducted for this purpose. He said use of digital payments would also help build a credit profile for the street vendor, helping them in future financial needs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the scheme should not be seen just from the perspective of extending loans to street vendors, but also as a part of an outreach to the street vendors for their holistic development and economic upliftment. He said one step in this direction would be by capturing their entire socio-economic details to facilitate necessary policy interventions, and such data could also be used by different ministries to benefit them under various schemes for which they are eligible on priority. These include housing under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban, cooking gas under Ujjwala, electricity under Saubhagya, health under Ayushman Bharat, and bank accounts under Jan Dhan. The government has launched PM Swanidhi scheme to facilitate collateral-free working capital loan up to 10,000 rupees of 1-year tenure to about 50 lakh street vendors to resume their businesses. Incentives in the form of interest subsidy at the rate of 7% per annum and cashback up to 1,200 rupees per annum are being provided to promote good repayment behavior and digital transactions.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio tomorrow. It will be the 67th episode of the monthly radio program. It will be broadcast on the entire network of AIR and Doordarshan, and also on AIR News website, www.newsonair.com, and News on AIR mobile app. It will also be streamed live on the YouTube channels of AIR, DD News, PMO and Information and Broadcasting Ministry. AIR will broadcast the program in regional languages immediately after the Hindi broadcast. The regional language versions will be repeated at 8 in the evening. Union Minister for Rural Development and Panchayati Raj Narendra Singh Tomar has called upon the states to ensure that funds being routed to Gram Panchayats are effectively used for development work at the village level. Mr. Tomar said this while inaugurating a function through video conference on strengthening the risk-based internal audit of rural development programs yesterday. He emphasized that the focus of the government is on ensuring high level of transparency in the implementation of rural development programs. Mr. Tomar said his ministry has developed a multi-pronged strategy for expanding livelihood opportunities through wage and self-employment, providing rural housing, roads, infrastructure, and providing social safety net. The minister said a provision of about 1,20,000 crore rupees has been made in the budget estimates for the financial year 2020-2021. In view of the situation arising out of COVID-19 pandemic, an additional allocation of 40,000 crore rupees has also been made for the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme during this financial year.
In Rajasthan, the political upheaval continued even today. The state cabinet met this evening on the issue of convening an emergency session of the Legislative Assembly. The meeting, held under the chairmanship of Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, concluded in just 10 minutes. Earlier, another cabinet meeting was held last night as well. Meanwhile, the BJP delegation today called on the governor and submitted a memorandum expressing concern regarding the deteriorating law and order situation in the state. More from our correspondent.
Governor Kalraj Mishra mentioned several shortcomings in the proposal sent to him by the state government for convening the assembly session. That is why the new proposal to be sent to the governor for convening an emergency session of the assembly was discussed in the cabinet meeting held yesterday and today. On the other hand, a 15-member delegation of the state BJP reached Raj Bhavan this evening and met Governor Kalraj Mishra and handed him over a memorandum to protect constitutional values in the state. BJP leader said that the chief minister has used indecent language against the governor. They also accused that the Congress is putting pressure on the governor. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
In the meantime, a meeting of the Congress Legislature Party was also held this afternoon, which was attended by other parties and independent MLAs supporting the Congress government. In the meeting, Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot called upon the MLAs to be prepared for every situation. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath today appealed to the followers of Sanatan Dharma to light earthen lamps on the 3rd and 4th of August and do 24-hour-long Ram Kirtan at their homes on the 5th of August, the day when construction of Ram Temple will begin in Ayodhya. He visited Ayodhya this afternoon and took stock of the preparations for the Prime Minister's forthcoming visit and Bhumi Pujan function. More from our correspondent.
Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath had a meeting with the members of Shri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust regarding the preparations for Bhumi Pujan function, in which Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to participate. He later performed puja at Ram Janmabhoomi and at Hanumangarhi Temple of Ayodhya. He also performed the ritual of Sthapana of idols of Lord Rama, Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrugna on the new asan made of silver. Chief Minister went to the workshop of trust and took stock of the preparation work and carving of stones. He later had a meeting with saints and religious leaders in which members of trust also participated. Yogi Adityanath said that the ancient city Ayodhya will be developed as a clean, beautiful, attractive tourist spot. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
The Puducherry Legislative Assembly adjourned sine die today after a 6-day budget session from the 20th of July. Following the opposition, NR Congress legislator NSJ Jayabal tested positive for COVID-19 and the session came to a sudden close today.
For the first time in the history of Puducherry, the assembly session was conducted in an open place inside the assembly complex building. Without any general discussion, the ministers moved the demand for grant on their respective departments. It was later passed. The chief minister then informed the House that a draft bill seeking 50% seats in private medical colleges for the government was sent to the centre for approval. Once approval was granted, the assembly will be convened and the bill passed. Finally, the finance bill was passed in the House and the Speaker Siva Kolundu adjourned the House sine die. Chandramohan, AIR News, Puducherry.
India and European Union have renewed its agreement on scientific and technological cooperation for the next 5 years till 2025. This will expand the cooperation in scientific and technological research, strengthen the conduct of cooperative activities in areas of common interest, and application of the results of such cooperation to their economic and social benefit. The agreement was initially signed on the 23rd of November in 2001 and renewed 2 times in 2007 and 2015. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Chief Secretary BVR Subramaniam reviewed the arrangements in connection with the forthcoming Independence Day celebrations in Jammu and Kashmir. He directed the school education and higher education departments to organize online quizzes, poetry, essay and similar competitions and encourage students for participation through webinars because of the prevailing unprecedented coronavirus pandemic. More from our Srinagar correspondent.
Chief Secretary BVR Subramaniam chaired a review meeting in Srinagar to take stock of preparations for celebration of Independence Day this year. The theme of this year's Independence Day is Atmanirbhar Bharat. During the meeting, it was informed, keeping in view the spread of COVID-19 pandemic, this year's celebration will intrinsically include preventive measures such as maintaining social distance, wearing masks, proper sanitization, and allowing only limited congregations. As such, it was decided that participation from students and vulnerable persons will be restricted, besides introducing technological interventions towards e-celebrations. Chief Secretary impressed upon the concerned departments to screen recorded cultural presentations through specially installed LED screens and projectors at all historic places in Jammu and Kashmir simultaneously. This is Sunil Kaul for AR News from Srinagar.
In a significant decision, the Union Government has issued Certificate of GI registration for saffron grown in the Kashmir Valley. While expressing happiness at the development, Lieutenant Governor Girish Chandra Murmu said this is the first major step to put saffron produced in Kashmir Valley on the world map with authentication. With the GI tag, Kashmir saffron will acquire more prominence in the export market and would help the farmers get best remunerative price. The LG has complimented Director of Agriculture in Kashmir for pursuing GI certification and said restoring the pristine glory of Kashmir saffron is a top priority for both the Union Territory Administration as well as the Centre. He further said that with the completion and inauguration of state-of-the-art Spice Park next month, these measures will prove to be the game changer for Kashmir saffron. The Tribal Cooperative Marketing Development Federation of India, TriFed, under Tribal Affairs Ministry, has entered into a partnership with IIT Delhi for the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan UBA, which is a flagship national program of the Ministry of Human Resource Development. To cement and formalize this partnership, a tripartite memorandum of understanding was signed between TriFed, IIT Delhi and Vigyan Bharati yesterday.
Railway Minister Piyush Goyal today reviewed the steps to promote Make in India products in the procurement process of Indian Railways. During the meeting, Mr. Goyal urged to take measures to generate confidence in the industry for a corruption-free and transparent procurement environment in the Indian Railways. He emphasized to increase the participation of local vendors in the procurement process. Mr. Goyal said it was also decided that the local content clause in the procurement process should be such that we get more bids from local vendors and suppliers. He said this will give a boost to the Atmanirbhar Bharat mission. You're listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviews implementation of PM Swanidhi scheme, expresses satisfaction on use of end-to-end IT solutions to ensure transparency, accountability and speed. Prime Minister Modi to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio tomorrow. Centre allocates additional 40,000 crore rupees in Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. India achieves remarkable feat of conducting more than 4 lakh COVID-19 tests in a single day. Fatality rate dips to 2.35%. Flood situation improves in Assam. Relief and rescue operations continue in flood-hit areas. And Reserve Bank of India extends $400 million currency swap facility with Central Bank of Sri Lanka. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
The 26th of July, 1999. The Army saga of valor leaves a lasting imprint on the sands of time. Vijay Parva salutes the gallantry, commitment, fortitude and indomitable spirit of our brave hearts. On the unscalable heights of Kargil, an exemplary edict was inscribed in blood. Never again maybe for the sake of the motherland, the chance to make the supreme sacrifice. The enemy will be given a befitting reply. Each time, every time, come rain, storm, fire or ice. Vijay Divas. On the 26th of July, a grateful nation salutes her brave soldiers.
आओ नमन करें उनको जिनके हिस्से ये मुकाम आया। खुशनसीब है वो वीर जो देश के काम आया। कारगिल के वीरों को शत शत नमन।
भारत हमको जान से प्यारा है, सबसे न्यारा गुलिस्तां हमारा है।
Welcome back. The total number of patients who recovered from COVID-19 reached around 8.5 lakh today. The COVID-19 recovery rate has now improved to 63.53% in the country. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry today said a total of 8,49,432 people have recovered in India so far. In the past 24 hours, 32,223 people have recovered. The Health Ministry said a total of 48,916 new cases of COVID-19 have been reported in the country within 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 13,36,861. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the country is 4,56,071. In a single day, 757 deaths have been reported, taking the nationwide toll to 31,358. However, the case fatality rate is continuously declining in the country and reached 2.35%. Our correspondent reports that in terms of recovery rate of COVID-19 cases, Delhi stands at the top with 86.40% recovery rate, followed by Ladakh, Haryana, Telangana, Assam and Gujarat. The Union Government today said for the first time a record number of more than 4,20,000 COVID tests have been conducted in a single day. The Union Health Ministry said the tests per million have further increased to 11,485 and cumulative testing reached nearly 1 crore 60 lakh. The ministry said a strong factor contributing to this achievement is the persistent increase in the number of labs from merely 1 in January 2020 to 1,301 today. This includes 902 government labs and 399 in the private sector. Revised facilitative guidelines of testing by ICMR and all-round efforts by the government have also aided in widespread testing.
A total of 1,142 new confirmed cases of coronavirus were reported in Delhi during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 1,29,531. Delhi government confirmed that over 1,13,000 people affected with coronavirus have been cured so far. In the last 24 hours, 2,137 people recovered and 29 deaths were reported in the national capital, taking the toll to 3,806. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the national capital is 12,657. In Madhya Pradesh, due to increasing cases of corona infection, a 10-day complete lockdown has been imposed in the capital Bhopal from today. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan also tested positive for coronavirus infection and was admitted to hospital. More from our correspondent.
The police have been given a free hand to implement the lockdown running till 5 a.m. on August 4. More than 170 checking points have been established. Around 2,500 security personnel have been deployed at these checking points at a time for the monitoring of the movement of the people. Officials informed that during the lockdown period, passes have been made compulsory for the persons connected with the essential services. The local administration has appealed to the people of the city to follow the lockdown. District administration had decided to run mobile vans which will provide information related to the lockdown and to supply essential commodities to the people. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
The Maharashtra government today announced that syllabus for classes 1 to 12 will be reduced by 25% in the state so as to reduce the burden on students amid the coronavirus pandemic. While schools remain closed, the academic year has started from the 15th of June and various alternative methods of learning are being adopted in the state. We have a report from our Mumbai correspondent.
Announcing the decision, Maharashtra School Education Minister Varsha Gaikwad said, since schools have not reopened physically, the government wants to ease the burden on students, so the syllabus will be reduced by 25% for the academic year 2021 for classes 1 to 12. She said, details of which lessons from textbooks have been omitted will be uploaded on the website of the Maharashtra State Council of Education Research and Training. In another development, Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray today inaugurated COVID care centers at Kalyan and Dombivli in Thane district through video link. He also inaugurated a 50-bed COVID care center at Nagothane in Raigad district today via video link. Sweety Jain, AR News, Mumbai.
In Tamil Nadu, the cases of COVID-19 have exceeded 2 lakh today with the confirmation of close to 7,000 new cases. More from our correspondent.
Zooming past the 2 lakh mark of COVID-19 infections in the state may be an occasion to look at the numbers. The mortality rate is currently 1.64%. The recovery rate is gradually increasing as 73% of the infected people have come out of the disease. Today, new infections as well as recovery figures have reached record numbers. There were 6,988 new cases and 7,758 recoveries. Those who returned safely far outweigh the new infections. Chennai's caseload has come down to 45% of the state's total, which at one point of time accounted for more than 2/3 of the caseload. The rate of increase is now more in districts than the state capital. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
Kerala reported the highest single-day surge in COVID cases with 1,103 people testing positive for the virus today. A report.
State Health Minister K.K. Shailaja informed that among the new cases, 838 persons contracted the disease through contact. The state also reported 4 deaths due to COVID today, each in Kasaragod, Kozhikode, Palakkad and Ernakulam district, taking the death toll in the state to 60. Thiruvananthapuram continued to report the highest number of cases with 240 new cases, among which 218 cases are through local transmission. Meanwhile, the state also recorded the highest single-day recovery so far as 1,049 patients have recovered from the disease in the last 24 hours. Presently, 9,420 active COVID cases are there in Kerala. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
In Meghalaya, different areas falling under East Khasi Hills district have been declared as containment zones following an increase in the number of COVID-19 cases. An order from the district administration informed that no person and public are allowed to move into these containment areas, and inhabitants within the containment areas are also not allowed to move out. Besides, all inhabitants within the containment areas must strictly remain inside their homes. Gatherings, events, functions of any nature and form, and including social, political, religious, economic activities are not allowed. The News Services Division of All India Radio in its bilingual live phone-in program today will bring you a special discussion on COVID-19. Dr. Nand Kumar, Professor, Department of Psychiatry at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, will participate in the discussion. Listeners can ask questions to the expert on toll-free telephone number 1800115767. You can also ask questions on telephone number 011-2331-4444 and post queries on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts by hashtag AskAIR. This can be heard tonight on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. This program will also be available on our website newsonair.com and on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You can also follow us on the News on AIR app for updates. The Reserve Bank of India has signed necessary documents for extending a $400 million currency swap facility with the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. This currency swap arrangement will remain available till November 2022. The agreement followed talks between the two sides over past weeks to find ways of enhancing economic cooperation between the two neighbours. The Indian High Commission in Colombo has remained closely engaged in fruitful bilateral cooperation with Sri Lanka on all matters of mutual interest. Both countries held technical discussions on rescheduling of bilateral debt repayment by Sri Lanka this week. It may be recalled that both sides had discussed the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and its likely health and economic impact during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's telephone conversations with Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on the 23rd of May and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa on the 27th of May.
The fifth phase of the Vande Bharat mission will begin from the 1st of the next month to bring back stranded Indians from abroad. It will continue till the 31st of August this year. Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said the detailed schedule of the mission will be shared soon. He said evacuation and outbound travel of every stranded Indian is a priority and no one will be left behind. The minister said over 8,14,000 people have returned since the 6th of May this year through various means under the mission. In Assam, the flood situation is slightly improved in the state today. Over 26 lakh people are still affected due to floods in the state. The death toll has gone up to 97. In all, 265 people were rescued by SDRF and NDRF teams. Nearly 47,000 people are taking shelter at relief camps with all proper norms. The Chief Executive Officer of the Assam State Disaster Management Authority, MS Manivanan, said that the Chief Minister is monitoring the flood situation. He hoped that situation would be improved in the coming days.
People are kept in a safe environment in the relief camps where all the precautionary measures like social distancing, medical care and other facilities are also taken care. And Honorable Chief Minister, Chief Secretary and other top officials apart from the district administration is also visiting the flood affected areas, taking the stock of the situation and consoling the people who are affected in the flood.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. It will have a minimum temperature of around 26 degrees Celsius and maximum of 36 degrees. Mumbai will experience a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature will be 26 degrees, maximum will be around 31 degrees. Chennai will have a generally cloudy sky tomorrow. The temperature will hover between 28 and 36 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have a partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain or thunderstorm. Minimum temperature in the metropolis will be around 27 degrees, maximum around 36 degrees. On to the north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature will be 24 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while the maximum will be around 34 degrees Celsius. The city will have a partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. In Srinagar, minimum temperature will be around 20 degrees while the maximum will be 32 degrees. The city will have a mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Ladakh will have a mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between 16 and 28 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the temperature will hover between 17 and 34 degrees. It will experience a mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Muzaffarabad, there will be a partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature will be 20 degrees Celsius, while the maximum temperature will be around 35 degrees. Chandigarh will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature in the city will be 26 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 33 degrees. In Dehradun, the temperature will hover between 24 and 32 degrees. The city will experience a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. In Hyderabad, minimum temperature will be 23 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 34 degrees. The city will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. In Bengaluru, the minimum temperature will be 21 degrees Celsius, maximum will be 30 degrees. The city will have a generally cloudy sky. Ahmedabad will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Minimum and maximum will be around 26 and 36 degrees. Bhopal will have rain or thunder showers towards afternoon or evening. Minimum temperature in the city will be 24 degrees, maximum around 33 degrees. Patna will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Minimum temperature in the city will be 26 degrees, maximum expected to be around 33 degrees. Guwahati will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviews implementation of PM Swanidhi scheme, expresses satisfaction on use of end-to-end IT solutions to ensure transparency, accountability and speed. from Minister Modi to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio tomorrow. Centre allocates additional 40,000 crore rupees in Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme in view of COVID-19 pandemic. India achieves remarkable feat of conducting more than 4 lakh COVID-19 tests in a single day. Fatality rate dips to 2.35%. Flood situation improves slightly in Assam. Relief and rescue operations continue in flood-hit areas. And that is all in the evening news. Good night.